Hi, and thank you for joining us. Be sure to stick around after the webinar for a special bundle offer.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for another episode of Ion Hakko. My name is Kenta, and for today's episode we will be building a fun little DIY light up pumpkin kit that I have here with everyone. And while building it, we'll be using some of our products or tools that we have here available at American Hakko Products. So it'll be a nice little fun activity with you guys, and before we get right into it, let's just go over briefly what the necessary tools are that everyone will need to get working on this DIY kit. So, very important, first tool you'll need is a soldering iron. Okay, I have here the FX-600 Soldering Iron. With the soldering iron, it comes with a B-tip already included, so that's there. So first thing you need, soldering iron. Next thing you'll need is the iron holder. I have the FH-300 iron holder here with a 599B tip cleaner. So get your soldering iron, iron holder, and tip cleaner. Once you have that, I also have pliers. Pliers are used to bend the leads of the components, so you're going to need pliers. I have the CHP PN-2002 pliers here. I also have cutters. Cutters, I'm going to need to cut off the lead ends. So I have the CHP 170 cutters here. I also have a flathead screwdriver that I'll be using at the very end. This is a CHP PG1-4 flathead type screwdriver. I also have a C1390C Omnivice, very useful when I'm to hold the circuit board in place. I also have the solder reel stand, or the solder reel holder. This one's called the 611-01. And last but not least, I have the FA400 smoke absorber. Very useful, keeps the smoke out of my face. FA400 smoke absorber. And of course, the kit itself. So those are the necessary tools that I'll be using today to build this DIY light up pumpkin with everyone here today. Let's see what comes inside of the box. All right, open up the box and take out the contents. There's the box. I have several different things that are included in the box. First, I have the pack with the various components in there. Then we have a battery pack. Then we have the actual pumpkin face, which acts as the PCB itself. Then we have another separate pack of yellow LEDs. And most importantly, we have the instruction manual. Okay, so let me set the instruction manual here up in front of me. And let's take a look at what the different steps are. In total, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total steps before we can finish or complete this light up pumpkin here today. Let's see what it says. Step 1, resistors. Step 2, capacitors. Step 3, transistors. Step 4, 3mm LEDs. Step 5, a switch. Step 6, 5mm LEDs. And last but not least, step 7 is putting together the battery pack. And I'll go through each step with you guys, showing you how to use pliers, cutters, soldering iron, and maybe a trick that most of you, I'm sure, you already know, but I'll just show you some of the tricks I use when I'm working on a project like this. Step 1 is resistors. And let me separate the resistors. These components here are called the resistors. It says R1 through R6, brown, black, orange. Now what does that mean? Let's see. You guys see that brown? This is the resistor. These are called resistors, and this is the first step that we'll be working on. And as you can see, looking on the resistors, there's a color band going across. Brown, black, orange, gold. So the brown, black, orange is what it's telling me to use on the instruction manual for resistors 1 through resistor location 6. So each one of these resistors have a different color band, as you can see. The top one is brown, black, orange. The one on the bottom is a orange, orange, brown. It's hard to see there. Orange, orange, brown. There's another set of resistors. Brown, gray, brown. So the different color codes, what that signifies is the different resistance values. So it's important not to mix them up. So R1 through R6 is brown, black, orange. R7 through R10 is brown, black, yellow. And then the next set is orange, orange, brown. And the next set is brown, gray, brown. And the last one is brown, black, red. Okay, so I have them separated out like that in order. Use my Omnivice here. And I'll hold down my board. Okay, let me see if I can position this properly for you guys. Okay, so that's what we're looking at as far as the PCB. And you'll see on the actual board, they're marked for you. R1, there's R7, there's R4, R2, R5, R16, so on and so forth. And on the instruction manual, it does tell you for R1 through R6, use the resistors that are coated with the orange, brown, black, orange. So that's what I'm going to get started with. So first step is to remove the resistors from this piece of tape. So first thing you want to do, I'll grab my micro cutters and just cut off the ends, the leads, like so. And next thing you do is you want to bend the leads so that you can put them into the through hole. So you grab your pliers. Next thing I'm going to do is grab my pliers. And the area where you want to bend it is maybe about 1.5 millimeters to maybe 2 millimeters away from the end of the resistor. And then you just grab it like this and bend it down 90 degrees, just like that. This particular plier, the PN2002, the width of this end, it's about 1 millimeter in width. So I also use that as kind of like a guide to measure how much distance I need when bending back the leads, like so. And you just keep bending and bending. And then what you want to do is once you have the other side bent, go ahead and bend the other side like so. And once you have this C or U shape like this, you want to insert them into the proper location. So the brown, black, orange goes in through R1 through R6. So you find, say for example, R1, and I'll just do a couple here for you. And bend that. Let's find R2. R2, there it is, R2. So there you go. So R1 and R2. I have my soldering iron, I have my solder. Heat the pad. I'm gonna heat the pad and the lead at the same time and feed it some solder. Again, use the iron to heat the pad and the lead, and just feed the solder. And there you go. at this point, you're done with step one. After you're done soldering them, make sure you flip it around. Ah! Pinhead. Make sure you cut off all the leads that you just soldered on, or else your pumpkin will end up just looking like a pinhead and not like a light up pumpkin. So the way you would cut these off is, you have those leads sticking out. Grab your cutters again and let's go in and cut off the ends of the leads, like so. Now let's look at step number two. Step number two, it says, let's see, capacitors. So let's go back, let's put these resistors to the side for a minute. Let's go back to our bag of components and let's take a look at the capacitors. These are your capacitors. Now what you want to watch out for when you're working with these capacitors, let me get that, there you go, is that you notice that one lead is longer than the other. That's because these capacitors do have polarity. One is a positive end and one is a negative end. Now, can anyone guess which side is the positive or the negative? The correct answer is the longer side. The longer side is the positive end. So that's where you're going to be inserting the positive lead to the positive end on the actual board. And on the board itself, you can see capacitors locations are marked with C1 through C4. So C1, C2, C3, and C4. And you can see on the actual board, they even marked the positive end with a plus signal there. So that side is where you'll be inserting the longer lead. Okay. Now when you're soldering a capacitor, there's a trick I like to use, and that's to tack some solder already onto the board, and I'll show you how that works. And I will put some solder on the pad, okay? And then I'll go back and grab my component, make sure I have the proper direction or orientation. I want to insert the positive end into the positive end. And now I'm going to go back and melt the solder and then insert my component. There you go. Now the solder has solidified and it's holding the capacitor in place. Looks like that. Okay. Now I can go back and solder the other side. I know this is looking at it from the top, so it's kind of hard for you guys to see what I'm doing here. But there you go, soldering one end and the other. So you have all the resistors that you previously soldered, and now you have the 1, 2, 3, 4 capacitors in addition that we just soldered together here. Step 3. Step 3, let's see what it says. Transistors. Now transistors are your components that look like this. Okay. And the first thing you want to do is obviously separate them or cut the leads off from this package. So there's one, I'll do a couple for you guys. There you go, set that aside. Now transistors have 3 leads, look like that. And if you take a look at the shape, kind of like a semicircle shape, like that. And then if you look on the board itself, the transistors are marked by T for Tom, and you can see there's a transistor location there. You can see that's kind of like in a triangle shape. There's another transistor, and I'll be soldering, let's use these sections right here. I'll use this T1 and this T4 for transistor locations that I'll be soldering these onto. And you can see on the silk screen This triangle shape should match the orientation of the transistor, like so. Okay. First of all, you want to get your pliers and bend the two outer leads slightly away from the middle lead, so that the leads look something like this. You see that? Okay. And at that point, you can insert it. I know this is probably hard for everyone to see, but I'll try to show you with this other transistor. So again, you want to take your pliers, right, and then bend the leads back or in, so that it looks something like this. Okay, and let's go ahead and put that onto T4. So let me see. And just insert the component like so, all the way down. There's one set of transistors, so it looks like that. There we go. And let's get onto the other side, other transistor. You just want to take your iron, heat up the lead and the pad at the same time, and feed some solder to your solder joint. And when you're done soldering the transistor, it should look something like that. So now you have your resistors, you have your capacitors, and now you have your 6 transistors on your circuit board. Step 4. Now step 4, this step takes probably the longest amount of time with this project. And step 4 involves soldering on these 3mm yellow LEDs onto the pumpkin. The LEDs are the components that make up the eyes, the nose, and the mouth of the pumpkin. That's where they light up. So let me go ahead and grab a couple LEDs and show you how to solder these onto the pumpkin. This is the LED, yellow LED, and as you can see, there's the shorter end on the bottom here, and on the top there's the longer end. So the longer end is the positive, the shorter end is the negative. And on this pumpkin, for this particular board, we'll be inserting the LEDs from this side. And on the instruction, it clearly tells you that to insert the negative end into the side where you see the black stripe or the black marking. Again, the shorter lead going into the side with the black stripe. So there's one, and I'll do just a couple for you. Again, the shorter lead going into the side with the black stripe. Flip your board over. Use your pliers to bend back the leads a little bit so that it kind of holds them in place. First of all, solder one side of the LEDs like so, and what that will do is it'll hold it in place. And as you can see, the LEDs aren't still yet, they're not flush against the board, right? So what I'm going to do now is grab my pliers, grab onto the leads, and as I'm solder, as I'm melting the solder, I pull up on the LED and let go. And now, I'll do that same thing on the other set of LEDs. Grab the leads of the LEDs, melt the solder and pull up. And by doing so, what I was able to do is make the LEDs sit flush against the board, like so. Now after that, just go back and solder on the other side of the LED. Then come back with the cutters and cut away the leads. Like so. Now there's a total of 24 LEDs that make up the mouth, the nose, and the eyes of the pumpkin. So when you're through soldering all 24 LEDs, your pumpkin should look something like this. Now you have your resistors, you have your capacitors, you have your transistors here. Then you have your LEDs here, 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 and there. And on the other side, the pumpkin, ta-da! It's looking more like a pumpkin. Look at that. Almost there, everyone. Almost there. Step 5 is soldering on the switch. So that's where the switch is going to be placed, and that's the actual switch. So you just insert the 3 leads into the hole, and back to the fan, turning on the fan, and this is pretty straightforward. Just grab your soldering iron and heat up the pad and the pin to make your solder connection. There you go. Now I'm sure many of you are aware, but you know, the soldering iron is just a tool. It's a tool that heats up, and you just want to use it as for what it is. It's a tool to heat up your joint and your leads, and feed the pad with the solder to make your connection. And there you go. 2 more steps left. 2 more steps left. So the step 6 is LED. We did the yellow LEDs before, but now we'll be soldering on the 5mm LEDs, which look like this. This is the 5mm LED, a little bit larger than the yellow LEDs we did previously. Okay. Before we can solder on this 5mm LED, looks like we have to bend the leads in a specific manner. So let's go ahead and do that. Again, the LEDs, longer side, positive, shorter side is the negative. So let's not forget that. And on the instructions, it tells you hold the LED while holding the LED with the negative end to the right. Go ahead and grab your pliers and then bend at a 90-degree angle. Okay. And then go down the lead a little bit more. And then it says to bend at another 90-degree angle. So at this point, it's looking like a U or a C shape. And then from here, it tells you to bend it out at a 90-degree angle. So the finished component shape should look something like this. Still, just make sure you know which side is the shorter and the longer lead, because at this point, we're gonna flip the pumpkin around, and this is where it's going to be inserted or attached. Again, the side with the black stripe is the side with the shorter lead. So insert it like so. And then come back, flip it over. And we'll just add some solder to one of the sides here. And if you need to, you can melt the solder and fix just position of the LED. Once you got the proper position that you want, just go back and solder the other side. Boom. There you go. And once you're done soldering the 5mm LEDs, same thing. Grab your board and cut off those leads. Like so. Now that was step 6. Now we're almost done. The final step. Pumpkin looks something like this from the front now. It's getting there. It's almost a finished product. The last and final step will be soldering on the battery pack. Battery pack looks like this. Has a couple wires, a black wire and a red wire coming out from the battery pack. And it also comes with some screws and posts. There's 2 holes on the pumpkin here. Take a screw, put it into the hole, like that. And just tighten down, screw the screws in all the way so the battery pack is properly secured. And let's take a look at the actual board. These 2 pads are where we'll be soldering the red end, the positive end of the wire, battery pack or the wire. And this is for the black or the negative wire. Okay. First of all, give the pad a good amount of solder, like so. Heat the pad. Get a good amount of solder. And from here, you can start off with the red wire. Place it on top. And you can simply just place your iron on top. Wait for the solder to heat up. Both the wire and the pad, and then remove. There you go, got the red end attached, or the positive end attached. And do the same thing for the black or the negative end of the battery pack or the terminal. Wait for the solder to melt, remove, and there you go. Now we have all 7 steps completed. So by the time you finish all 7 steps, your board, look at it from this side of the board, should look something like this. Again, you have your resistors, you have your capacitors, transistors, you have your LEDs in place, and you have the battery pack with the ends soldered on as well. And you have the switch down here as well. And on the other side, yeah, looking pretty, looking pretty. So let's give it a test. I'm gonna attach the battery, like so. Ready, ready, ready? The moment of truth. Ta-da! It works! Nice little pumpkin. Light up pumpkin. Again, it's a nice little DIY kit you can do at home using these basic tools that I was able to use today. Again, without the proper tools, first of all, you won't be able to solder. And without like cutters and pliers, without Omnivice, the fume extractor, it's just all these tools make it so that your DIY project becomes that much more enjoyable, right? And going over the tools, I got the FX-600 Soldering Iron. By the way, I was using it at a temperature of 370 on the temperature dial. The 600 is a temperature adjustable direct plug-in to the wall, right? So there's nothing fancy about it, but it's really easy to use. There's dials on there. It goes from 200 270, 320, 370, 420, and 500 degrees Celsius. So you can just spin the dial to your desired location. I had it, like I said, at 370. And there's a couple more optional tools that I want to show you really quick before we get going here. For anyone who is traveling or like to take their soldering irons back and forth from school or from some kind of seminar or classes, then we also have these cap kits that you can use to take around with you. One is this 605M. It's a cover and it fits directly over your soldering iron. So once you unplug your soldering iron, wait for your soldering iron to cool for a few minutes, then all you have to do is insert this, and then it comes with a nice Velcro attachment to hold it in place. And that way it's safe for you to hold or throw into your bag when you want to carry it around. The other cap kit is this one. It's called Cap Kit, and it's for anyone who would like to take their soldering irons around, throw them into their bags, and attend seminars or classes for soldering or any kind of studios. And simple. Again, unplug your soldering iron, wait for your soldering iron to cool for a few minutes, and then it comes with this attachment here. All you have to do is screw on the cap kit, and it's ready to go. This cap kit, also protects the tip and protects the heater for any kind of damage or breaks. So at this point you can grab it and then throw them into your bag. So these are the basic tools. This is the pumpkin that we were able to make. Lights up nice. I think it's a nice little project for everyone to work on, especially this month being Halloween. I think it's a nice project for everyone to be working, whether by yourself, with your kids, or with your spouse, whoever it is. It's a nice little fun project. If any of you have any questions on any of the tools that I showed you guys today, that I was able to use today, you can reach out to us. You can email us, support@hakkousa.com. Again, that's support@hakkousa.com. Or you can give us a call. It's 1-800-88-HAKKO. That's HAKKO. So that's 1-800-88-HAKKO. Okay? I hope you guys enjoy the show for today. I hope it's a fun little night's activity. And for those of you who joined, watched, participated in today's webinar, we did promise a giveaway of these light up pumpkin kits. So we will be giving these away for those of you who watched. Thank you all for watching. Hope you found it helpful, and we'll see you next time. Remember, keep your eye on Hakko, and happy Hakkoween! Oh!
Thanks, Kenta. We hope you enjoyed today's webinar. And if you want to get your hands on the tools that Kenta was using, go ahead and head over to hakkousa.com and save big with our spooky builder bundle. It's available now.